What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica Podcast. My name is Alfredo. I'm here with Cristiano Oliveira.
Hola. What's going on, everybody?
Up in Canada, that's Steve Santos.
Yo. What's up, everybody?
And our stat master, Dave de Oliveira. No relation to Cristiano.
Not yet, not that we know of.
Luckily for Dave.
On tonight's podcast number 271, we are going to be looking back at Benfica's game against Boavista, and we'll look ahead to Benfica's game and trip to the Mata Real to play Ferreira, a game that traditionally is a very complicated game for Benfica, but nonetheless, I think we're on a good streak. So let's hope that will be good for us. So let's start at the beginning. Start with this Boavista game, a team that's been kind of our bogey team, if you will, in the past couple seasons. They have actually were the only team that has beaten us this season so far, and we were set up at Stadio Luz for a great game. I'll give you the lineup. Ferreira was in goal. Almeida, Ruben Dias, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Feza, Pizzi, and Zivkovic in the midfield triangle. Rafa and Cervi on the wings, and Jonas up front. So this was the lineup, and I think that right now, Steve, I don't think that Vitória is messing around with any experiences. Rafa hasn't played all that great, if you will, but he is getting the chances. I think that he's making a little bit out of those chances. He still hasn't impressed me, but yet he continues to get chances.
Yeah, I mean, let's put João Carvalho there. I don't really see what else he's gonna invent to do to that right hand side with Salvio out. So if Zivkovic and if Krovinovic was fit, then he'd have a little bit more options. But unless he's going to play Diogo Gonçalves from the beginning, which is a possibility. But I think Rafa's has surpassed him in the pecking order at the moment. He's not, like you say, he's not impressed. He's not been that bad. I know Chris is going to make it. I know Chris is going to come at me and say he's been awful, but I don't know. I still think that.
You think it could be worse?
There's still something that, I don't know, Rafa for me still has something that he still hasn't shown us. I still think that there's something deep down there that he still hasn't shown us. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or maybe too much confidence, but the player that we used to see at Braga was a different player than we've ever seen in the Benfica jersey. And I'm still waiting to see if at some point we'll see the Rafa that played at Braga.
Well, Steve here, one thing. Yes, he's been horrible. He's been absolutely terrible at times. But this is the part I think will be surprising to you is he's actually shown some flashes at times. And even though there's still some mind-numbing plays that like, what the hell is this guy thinking? He's getting a little bit more involved and, he shows flashes. So he's been a little bit better in that aspect. So I can't really kill him. Team is winning. He's putting in the work. He's putting in the shift every game. So, again, I reiterate. There's times where I shake my head, but there's some positives. At least before we didn't even see positives. Now we actually.
Here's the thing: compare him to Salvio, and Salvio is not playing that well. Like this year, he's been well. He's been playing well, no doubt about it. But Salvio of years past and the Rafa to the past couple of games he's played, for me, there's not too much of a difference. At least going forward, I think defensively, Salvio offers a bit more know-how, a bit more understanding of what's needed defensively. But going forward or with the ball at his feet, I don't think Rafa makes many more mistakes with the ball than Salvi does, if any.
Now, the one reason why I think he's on the field, Alfredo and Dave and Steve, the reason why I think he's getting the chance here, obviously the price tag around his neck, that's something that will always be there until he leaves, right? And so Benfica is always going to try to give him that opportunity to see if he can salvage something from that ridiculous transaction. That being said, let's be honest. He's on the field because he gives the team width and he gives the team speed. There's not many other guys. You don't have many other options. The only other guy you have on the bench that could actually do that is Diogo Gonçalves. Unless I'm forgetting someone, there's no one else on the team that could stretch the opposition like Rafa and a Cervi can right now. There's no one else. And I know you're going to mention João Carvalho, but João Carvalho is not that guy. Doesn't have the speed. Absolutely. So the only other option is between him or between a very green Diogo Gonçalves, a kid that, last time he played was October until this past weekend or whatever it was, right? He went a bunch of months without even being a part of the club. So I think he's going with the veteran, with the guy that's been there, a guy, again, that's got a high price tag around him, a guy that there's huge expectations around. If he falters, I think Yo Gonçalves will be the next guy in line, because I think Rui Vitória loves the fact that he gives the team width. He loves the fact that he's got speed, and on a counterattack, the guy could, if he ever gets it right with that speed, it'll be lethal.
Yeah. Ruben Dias getting on the board on the 18th minute. And Cristiano, 9 goals from corner kicks this season. Jardel and Ruben Dias back-to-back home games that they have scored in. Now, I read something on Twitter, and look, this is more entertainment than anything, where somebody stated that it's amazing how much of a difference it makes when not all the corners are aimed at Luizão. What do you think about that?
Hey, listen, you tend to normally, right? Most of the time, you tend to try to serve the tallest guy in the box. I mean, why not? I think it's smart. And if Luizão is your tallest guy, that's who you go to, unless you have some type of set play set up that you tried to practice and you want to, come into a game and you want to take advantage of something that you saw on video. That's fine. But normally you go to your tallest guy. And look, it's working out, but who's to say that it wouldn't work out as well if Luizão was there? I mean, this week, I don't think it had anything to do with Ruben Dias. It was more of a Jardel very smartly understanding that he wasn't in a position to put it on goal with power. He's kind of like stepping back, and he put it back into the opposite side of the box, and Ruben Dias just touched it. I don't think it's like, wow, we served Ruben Dias. He went up. What a monster. I think it was more of a set play this weekend. Yeah. But nonetheless, still tremendous job. I mean, anytime you get goals from your back line like this at this rate, it's fantastic. I mean, it's only going to help.
Yeah, especially when Jonas hasn't scored, and now 2 games back to 3 games.
I believe it's 3 now. I think it's 3.
2 games back to back that Jonas hasn't.
No, Belenenses last game and this game.
No, he scored the free kick. He scored the free
snap. It was so late. And so much extra time.
You already turned off the TV?
I already turned off the TV, because the referee, that's what it was. I'm sorry, guys. You're right.
Speaking of extra time, how much time do we have left?
4 minutes.
Okay.
That's an hour in sporting time.
Third win. Before I get into that, so Jardel gets the second goal in the 44th minute. In a first half that Benfica basically dominated this Boavista team. Boavista didn't have one shot in the first half, and Benfica was playing well. They were on top of Boavista, and even though we were getting the goals from our center backs, nonetheless we were having a dominating performance. The left side, you could take a look at that left side. Whether you take out Zivkovic and you insert Krovinovic, that left side has been doing tons of damage this season, especially when they're together. Cervi, Grimaldo, and as I mentioned, Zivkovic or Krovinovic.
I was going to take a back seat here because I just was talking for the last 10 minutes. I wanted Steve to jump in, but I have to jump in here, Steve. And look, and I know I'm going to say this, and I know some of you are going to call me crazy. How dare you say? But I think that left side is playing better with Zivkovic in it than when they were with Krovinovic in there. Call me crazy. I just think that those 3 have such a chemistry between the 3 of them. I don't know if it's just the tendencies and the little technical ability, knowing you're a left footer, where guys are going to fall. I don't know what the hell it is, but whatever it is, it's working. And once again, Vitória got lucky on this because his initial replacement was Carvalho, but that's another story for another day. But I think those 3 guys are playing at a higher level right now than when Krovinovic was in there. What you think, Steve?
Well, yeah, that's something that Steve and I were actually talking about this afternoon. But so, Steve, I was going to lead him into that.
I'm glad you guys left me out of the pre-show meetings. I appreciate that.
Steve.
Dave, were you included?
Nope.
The Zivkovic thing, you're spot on. I mean, the understanding that these 3 kids seem to have together is really top notch. I really like how any of the 3 could end up in any of the 3 positions. You'll see at times Zivkovic is the guy who's the furthest back in the 3. At other times you'll see him as the furthest forward with Cervi more in the midfield-like role, and I think that's one of the keys to why it's working so well. They seem to have a very good understanding with each other, like you said before, on where one is in the pitch and where the other needs to be. And the whole thing with Krovinovic, till now, I'll have to agree with it, but Krovinovic had a slightly longer run in the team, and you saw more good and more bad. to base your opinion off of. But they're a joy to watch right now.
Look, let's be fair to Krovinovic.
They're so much fun to watch.
When they implemented him into the lineup, they were also going through the adjustment period of switching to a 4-3-3. So we have to throw that in there. I'm not knocking Krovinovic. I absolutely love him. But I just think that the club is playing better now. I think just from everybody. I mean, from the top, like with the exception of goalkeeper, from the back forward to the strikers, everyone seems to have picked up their game. And again, it might be because they've just they've gotten accustomed to playing the 4-3-3, what to expect. Krovinovic was thrown into that 4-3-3 more out of necessity. I believe there was not enough going, not enough football, not enough, not enough, how do I put it, victories. Benfica was just struggling at the beginning of the season, put it that way. And Krovinovic was thrown in there. And so it took a little bit of that adjustment period. And I think now these guys are accustomed and adjusted to playing these positions. And Zivkovic has been absolutely stunning. I don't think anyone I did, and I love him. I mean, go back to preseason. That's the one guy 2 years ago, so I'm most excited to see. He's hitting a level at Benfica that he hasn't hit any time prior. He's playing terrific, man. And so he's making this work really well because I don't think any of us anticipated that he could play this well in the middle. Yeah.
And let's talk about one of the components of the 4-3-3 is Cervi, of course, and I'm going to spend a little bit talking about him. And Dave was kind enough to provide some stats. But what I wanted to say is that the 4-3-3 was implemented on November 5th against Guimarães. 17 games with the 4-4-2 formation, 9 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. 19 games with the 4-3-3 formation, 11 wins, 5 draws, and 3 losses in all competitions. So obviously there's an improvement as far as record, also the way the team has been playing with this 4-3-3. So again. Was this 4-3-3 born out of necessity? We got a couple factors, right? We got the factor that Pizzi's not playing well. Pizzi's not playing well. Rui Vitória perhaps sees the need to put another guy in the midfield to help out Pizzi, as Pizzi seemed to be getting a little bit too overmarked at times, or he wasn't really playing well. He wasn't able to do anything. How much do you think that has to do with Pizzi? And the other thing is that after that fiery start and how he started on fire, Seferovic really went down, and he went from being the perfect partner to Jonas to the point that we let go of Mitroglou to being a complete nullity. So we got 2 factors at play here. What do you think which one factor was more important and perhaps the deciding factor to turn into a 4-3-3?
Well, I think the biggest factor was to get your best players on the pitch. Like you mentioned before, Seferovic started the season really well. We were playing pretty well for the first, 5 games, 6 games, maybe? No, not even. We had some rough times even then. I think what happened was you saw a bit of Krovinovic after he comes back from his injury. The more you see of him, the more you know you can't leave him out of the lineup. And then really something that I believe in is the players really decide what formation you play. Basically, you will have guys that will force you to play in a certain formation because that's the way you can get the most out of them. But your idea of the game and your beliefs on the way the game should be played shouldn't really change based on your formation. So that's where I go with that. I think the reason that we switched to the 4-3-3 isn't so much that it's a lot of people say that it's Rui Vitória's preferred system, et cetera, et cetera. We played 4-4-2 all last year and we won. Why wasn't it Rui Vitória's preferred system shown sooner? If this is the case, I don't go with that. For me, it's all down to player quality and the type of players you have for each position, and that's what you end up with. I mean, who's to say we wouldn't play a back 3 if that's the type of players that we had available? Is the best option to get them all out on the pitch is to play a back 3.
So are you giving credit to Vitória for not being stubborn, to really playing to his strength?
What do you mean by not playing with the 4-3-3 last year? If the 4-3-3 is specifically his strength?
If he's looking at the squad and he sees that the squad is better suited to play the 4-3-3, and he makes that decision, then we're talking about you giving credit to Rui Vitória.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, if you're a coach, you want your best 11 out there. But in the same way you want to credit Rui Vitória, how do you watch games in and out and practice sessions in and out and leave Zivkovic on the bench till now?
And had Krovinovic not gotten hurt, Zivkovic still sitting on the bench.
We still wouldn't have seen him, right? So, and Ruben Dias, who right now has, for me, a very good shot of going to the World Cup, would have probably been on the bench if Jardel and Luizão were fit too. Right?
Again, look, man. I think when it comes to this, I think it was a combination of two things, right? And it just sucks because I guess I have to praise Vitória because I guess he realized it, right? Which was, to me, it came out of necessity, and it was a combination of the only striker at the time that was playing adequate soccer was Jonas. The other two guys you weren't getting much from. Then you start seeing Krovinovic in practice. You start realizing, and I guess that's where I'll give him credit, is you realize he needed to get this guy in the field. Therefore, rather than being stubborn and stick with the 4-4-2 that had been successful the past 2 seasons, which ultimately ended in championships, he wasn't stubborn enough. He realized, look, my strikers ain't doing crap. I have a good quality, a young player that's going to come into the midfield, allow me to have more possession, a guy that will be able to create because Pizzi is so off this season. At least the beginning of the season he was terrible. But I have no one to really create. I need to insert someone else. And so that came out of necessity. Zivkovic playing came out of necessity. Ruben Dias, and it's like, I'll give Vitória credit for realizing that it wasn't working. Something needed to be done. Fine. But then, these success stories fall into his lap. Ruben Dias falls into his lap. It wasn't like Jardel or Luizão, thank you for the 13, 14 years. But now it's like, okay, but people are going to pray. They'll chance, the horse passed by. He saw these guys. No, let's be honest.
But do you think he gives them a chance if he didn't think they were ready?
He had no other choice at the time. Look, he kept throwing out a guy who I thought, with the more playing time, a guy that I thought would have turned the corner. That's Lisandro Lopes, right? He wasn't a fan. Especially at a center back, when you don't have rhythm and you don't play regular minutes, you're going to be rusty. And then a guy like that understands he's behind 2 other guys, Jardel and Luizão, it was going to be hard to dethrone these guys from their position. You might want to go in there, do a little bit extra. Whatever it was, it didn't work out. So at that point, he was force-fed a player from the B team that they did not have money to go out and fortify. We sat here, even the biggest diehard Benfiquistas that will sit here today and tell all of us, I always believe in Ruben Dias. Even you guys were criticizing the club for not going out and signing another center back at the beginning of the season. So
that's the one position that I felt we really should have signed.
Absolutely. So Krovinovic, I understand he had an appendix or whatever the hell it was in preseason. But they didn't even put him in a Champions League roster.
Well, but because that's also a foreign spot that you're taking up. So there's limited choices there.
Okay, moving on. He finally gets hurt, right? Not finally, because it sounds like, oh my God, thank you. No, he gets hurt. Unfortunately, he gets hurt. What's his first thing? He's going to throw up the kid from the B team once again. He's going to force feed him to you. Realizes like, God damn, this guy ain't doing it. Zivkovic, cabal tá tua porta. Bora lá. Again, it's not like, had he gone to Zivkovic from day one, and Zivkovic, good job. But again, I can't praise the guy for that. I'll praise him for the whole scheme and the whole system switch, but I can't praise him for it. It goes back to 2 years ago with Renato. Look, man, I'm a Vitória guy. He's a classy, wonderful human being. You got either opposition coaches praising the guy for being a gentleman. Fantastic. And I know the club is winning, and as long as the club wins, man, I'll eat it. I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll eat it. But it's not like he goes, you can't criticize the guy. He goes criticism free. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty that we could talk about. But as long as the club keeps winning, man, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Let's turn to the focal point and the focal player that has really been propelling this team into the next level. And when I say that, I'm talking about Cervi. And I'll give you some stats. Cervi last season, 41 games, started 28, 7 goals. Out of the 41 games, only 9 games did Cervi play the whole 90 minutes.
And he scored on his debut at Supertaça Aveiro.
Right.
Supertaça.
This season, 26 games so far, started 23. He's got 4 goals already. Out of the 26, only 12 games as Cervi played the whole 90 minutes. Since the beginning of 2018, Cervi has been in the starting lineup every match, 8 in total, and he's only been subbed off twice. Thanks to Dave for that. Also, what I wanted to refer back in also something that I read on Twitter, that Krovinovic's entrance into this team and some of the consistent starts by Cervi perhaps coincide with Benfica's best moment. What do you think about that?
You cut out in the middle of that.
Say that again. I'm sitting next to him and I didn't get it. Say that again.
So
no, mine cut out. I didn't actually hear it.
Both Krovinovic's introduction into the team and the consistent play that Cervi was getting. Because if you remember, Gonçalves started a lot of the Champions League games, correct?
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Krovinovic and Cervi, I think, came into the team more or less around the same time.
Right. So, and coincides with Benfica's rise and ascendant in form.
Look, Steve, I'll make it quick. I think Cervi's been really playing at this level the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks. He's been at most of the season, he was inconsistent. That hence the reason why he got subbed a lot of the times. One thing you praise him for, he puts in his effort week in, week out. And I know, he gets tired. And there's so many options at the time. There wasn't a lot of players being, a lot of the guys weren't hurt. So you had like 6 wingers to play in 2 spots. So somebody had to go off, and that was a guy. But I think he's really been at this level the last 6, 7 weeks. We have not gotten the same. This Cervi we see today is not the Cervi we saw in October, November, and December.
Well, he wasn't getting consistent playing time.
Exactly. But Krovinovic, that's when he got thrown into the games. Krovinovic got thrown in October. And Cervi really has been lights out since Krovinovic has been out. Really.
Since the 4-3-3.
No, more. But been out. Since Krovinovic got injured, Cervi's picked up his game.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll go with that.
But you could also point to the fact that since the 4-3-3, it seems to have given Cervi more freedom.
I just think over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I might be off a week, I might be adding another week, but around 6 weeks, I will say he's really reached the form, the peak. This is the best he's played at Benfica, and I think from August until December, I think he was inconsistent. And Krovinovic got inserted into the lineup in October, and then he was just playing season game, Liga games, and not playing Champions League because obviously he wasn't registered. But to me, to say that it was Krovinovic, I don't think that's accurate because no, I'm saying to say that it was the insertion of Krovinovic that picked up Cervi's play. I don't think that's accurate.
But here's the other thing. Let's break it let's break it this way, right? So, Steve, how do you think the 4-4-2 differs from the 4-3-3 in terms of giving Cervi more freedom, more room to play?
You're not going to like my answer. You're not going to like my answer.
I'm not here to like your answers.
My answer is that Cervi's role has not changed basically at all from the 4-4-2 to the 4-3-3.
But he does have more support.
What he has now is he has another guy to play off of with the 4-3-3, especially now with Zivkovic. But not his own individual role and what he needs to do on the pitch and what he's expected, the way he's expected to create mismatches and to beat guys 1v1 and all the things that he's doing right now, for me, doesn't change his role too much from the 4-4-2 to the 4-3-3. Will he see more of the ball than he would have with the 4-4-2, especially the way we were playing before, where we lacked that creative bit, that we lacked the player that made the team tick and made the game flow. And that's where I think really, if we're looking for a catalyst to the way Benfica has really started to play better over the past 3 months or so, you're looking at Krovinovic, not Cervi. I mean, right now Cervi has picked up his game by a lot. Like, his level is a lot higher than it ever has been with Benfica. But for me, if you're looking for the one player or the one role that's really changed and made this team grow, it's Krovinovic's role, which is now being taken over by Zivkovic.
No, agree with you. Krovinovic turned the ship around.
Yeah, he's the catalyst.
But he's to turn the season around. But his question was the insertion, to insert both of those guys into the lineup.
The 4-3-3.
That Cervi's play has picked up because of Krovinovic's inclusion, and I disagree with that because Krovinovic got hurt a month and a half ago, and that's when Zivkovic's numbers went up, and that's when his performances picked up. What did I say?
Krovinovic.
Zivkovic.
That's when Cervi's performance picked up because, and again, as good as Krovinovic is, Krovinovic is a guy that had the ball a lot more on his feet and created a lot more. Zivkovic is letting that go. And right now, Benfica, and smart on their part, they're seeing that Cervi, he's on the uptick. Cervi's been playing lights out. They're feeding him the ball. And that's the thing. He has the ball more now than when Krovinovic was on the field. And that's why, to me, his game has picked up since Krovinovic has gone off. And again, Zivkovic is doing a terrific job, yada, yada, yada. But it's the fact he's getting, like, look, we watched the game last weekend. 7 out of every 10 attacks, the ball's going down the left side. He constantly has the ball at his feet. When Krovinovic is there, he's spreading the ball. You know, he's a classy playmaker. He's a guy. Not saying that Zivkovic can't do that, but Krovinovic is more to spread the ball around and relieves Pizzi of those duties and give him more of a breathing space. I'm going to control it. He's a guy that ran up the field with the ball and had the ball at his feet a lot more. Zivkovic plays very simple, and he had a couple runs where he took off from midfield and took off with the ball. Yes, he holds on to it, but I think his role is a little bit different than a Korovinovic's. So Cervi's seen a lot more of the ball, and I think he's excelling at that.
Yeah.
So to me, Krovinovic turned the season around for Benfica, and he might be the reason why they went to a 4-3-3 ultimately. But I think to say that his inclusion is the reason why Cervi's picked, no, I think Cervi's been the best Cervi we've seen at Benfica since Krovinovic has went down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a great point where you got what I was trying to get at is because of the 4-3-3, now there's more support to play off of.
There's more interplay.
In that left side. And a lot of the good football that we see for Benfica comes from that left side, comes from those combinations, comes from guys releasing themselves, the mismatches that are created because we're floating zones with support. That's the point that I was trying to get at, but I understand what you're saying.
The team is in such a different moment, though. I mean, in October, we would watch this team and they would be basically playing football standing still. Movement off the ball was next to none. Reacting to losing the ball was nowhere near what it is now. I mean, the way we're keeping teams pinned in right now, after we lose the ball and we recuperate it so quickly and teams can't get out of their own half, it's like night and day. We didn't do anything like this earlier in the season. I don't even know. I don't know if we actually said it on air, but there was times in October, November, we had feelings that Rui Vitória may have lost the locker room. I can't remember if this was conversations before or after podcasts, but we all had that hunch that something was going on because these guys just weren't running for him anymore. But now you could look at many different angles as to why this has changed, but it's changed.
Steve, that sporting game. And again, we saw this a couple seasons ago when Benfica, with all the criticism, and the players said it's us against the world mentality, and they went off on a tremendous run and ultimately won the Campeonato. Now this year, there was a lot of we touched up on it here on the podcast. There was a tremendous amount of noise going on outside the four lines with the emails and this and the criticism, and the club was on all, like, I think it was at the lowest point it had been this season. And that sporting game, and you asked me here if it's, for Rui Vitória, he's going to get these guys motivated. And I said, no, I don't think at this level for a game like this, the players will motivate themselves. But now seeing how the team has come together, how they've gelled, with the exception of really the goalie, everyone is playing up to what we expect. And Rafa, again, has his flashes. But everyone else, even Pizzi hasn't been as bad as he was at the beginning of the season. I think this team has gotten together and said, look, man, we believe in ourselves. Forget about all the noise. And that sporting game, Steve, that sporting game was a turning point of the season.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I wanted to say. It's been very typical during Rui Vitória's reign that the team has moments, right? So in the beginning of the season, first year, he had that off season that he came to North America, didn't start the championship well, put an incredible run together, wins the championship. Last year,
and did well in the Champions League too.
Last year, same thing. Again, a poor first half of the season for Benfica with some dubious results. Again, rallies the troops, wins. We're seeing something very similar now, where the team is finally hitting stride. Here's the thing, it was something that we mentioned here about that Sporting, that there was a turnaround game. But at what point do you think? All right, so we're looking at both of this Sporting and Porto team, right? Porto is just killing everybody in the beginning of the season, right? The team is looking at Porto, both Porto and Sporting, and said, "There's no way these guys are giving up points that easy." Porto was just spanking people. Now all of a sudden, there's a few losses here, a few losses of points. Benfica's back in a run. How much do you think that Benfica gathered that confidence, knowing that these guys can drop points?
The only difference here is this, guys. Throughout a 7-8 month season, whatever it is, right? Teams are going to go through their ups and downs. Benfica had their rough stretch at the beginning of the season, and it was like it looked worse because of our performances in the Champions League, the worst performance in the history of Portuguese clubs, and it was ugly, right? But they were still able to squeeze out some results here in the Portuguese league, and they were able to stay in it, right? Even though Porto was steamrolling team, Sporting was playing relatively well as well. And now Benfica seems to, even though they're only playing one game a week, I think that's definitely helped them a lot. They seem to be on the uptick, and Porto is going through their struggles because we see, even from the Barcelonas to the Real Madrids of the world, these teams, every single team, right, with the exception of the 2002 Arsenal squad, the Invincibles, every team is going to go through their ups and downs. They're going to lose points. They're going to lose games. And it just, right now, that rough stretch, just like last season, that rough stretch came towards the end of the season for Porto, and they're going through that rough stretch now, even though they just demolished Rio Ave 5-0 at home. But they're going through that rough stretch. And what happens with that rough stretch, you see what happened with Benfica. The media starts criticizing. Some teams are able to take it well. Other teams aren't able to take it well. But one thing we know for sure is that no matter how much noise is being said outside that clubhouse, outside that locker room, outside that locker room, right? Outside of Rui Vitória, whether they're praising him, Rui Vitória is bringing his boys down to earth. If they're killing him, Rui Vitória is picking them up. That's the one thing that we've seen with Rui Vitória that we don't get from JJ, and Sergio Conceição is hot-tempered. So he's able to calm the boys down. And look, it's a long season, and we'll keep it going, and it's smooth sailing from there on. Our adversaries, it seems like they're not able to take that criticism like Benfica has when they hit that rough stretch because their coaches are hot-tempered themselves. And we've seen JJ when shit is going, when stuff is going wrong, he's the first one to sit there and blow a gasket and start screaming at people. Rui Vitória is always calm, even when things are bad, and that's awesome. And I think that's why it looks good every single year now in the second half of the season. Benfica seems at some point they hit that weak spot, and then they pick it up, and then when their rivals do, because every team does, they're not able to turn it into a positive like Rui Vitória is able to do. That's where his man managing skills comes in. That's where his classiness comes in, and that's the thing we've all praised about.
One last thing, in I'll finish it up with you. How much time we got?
4 minutes, bro.
Okay.
I just looked.
Jonas, 3 missed out of the last 4. Do you go to somebody else?
Not yet. But if he misses another one, and then you start to wonder if it's getting into his head, you might have to look at someone else. And I was actually thinking about this today because I thought that might have been a question in tonight's pod. And I'll pose this to Steve because I'm always talking. So, Steve, I want you to talk a little bit here, buddy. Who would you, if you're taking those responsibilities away from Jonas, who would you give it to? Who else would you give it to on the field?
It's anybody's guess, right? Because
no, I have.
We didn't think Cervi could take a free kick.
I have two guys that I think they would go to.
I think Pizzi is probably next in line.
You think Pizzi's next? Okay.
That's if I had to guess, Pizzi or Grimaldo are next in line.
Looking at the guys on the field and the way they play and the way they strike, I think the next 2 guys are Cervi and Grimaldo, I would think.
Yeah, Cervi, I'd go Cervi.
Because Servi's a guy that don't mess around. When he puts it on goal, he's not tapping it on goal.
Yeah. Here's my that's all we're guessing. But I would not take away penalties from Jonas anytime soon. I mean,
if he misses another one, Steve, that'll be 3 in a row. Dude, it's gonna get into his head at some point.
Yeah, but I think if you take it away from him, it gets into his head worse. Personally, the way I would judge character and the way I think Jonas thinks, I think if you take it away from him, it would have a lot more harm a lot more harm to his confidence than if he missed another one. Because penalties, okay, this one was a little bit telegraphed, but it wasn't a horrible penalty. The one previous to this wasn't a horrible penalty. I just don't think it's right. Even if he misses the next one, he skies it over the net, maybe. But if he's
hitting them well.
he's hitting them properly. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just, I think it's more luck, more maybe the slight lack in form. I mean, things aren't coming as easily for him as they once were. I mean, even stuff in the middle of the park where it's just the wrong way to pass, the wrong option. He's in a slight dip in form, which fine. You can't expect everyone to be Messi and Ronaldo and play freaking almost amazing every game. So it's understandable. For me, you cannot, especially not the next one. Especially not the next one. You got to go to him. If something happens, the next one, maybe you have an argument to look at it, but the next one has got to go to him. I'm sorry. It's
I agree. I said if he misses one more. Now, here's the thing. This game, Steve, is 10% physical, 90% mental.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And even the greats go through that struggle of confidence in their head. If he misses the next one, right? Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't give it. I still give it to him. I said, go back and roll the tape. If he misses the next one, I know, I'm just being sarcastic. If he misses the next one, right? I seriously, as a coach, I would pull him aside, have a conversation with him. Look, man, we're going to give you a break. I'm not saying you're going to take him again. You're going to take him again. We're going to give you a break. Let things cool off because I can't have a game on the line, right, with him at the penalty spot and his confidence is shaken.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to tell him, look, I'm going to relieve you of your duties. We're winning 2-0. We get a penalty. Get up there. That's how you get your confidence.
Yeah.
Right? You go through those things. So, again, it's mental. So I don't want it to get there. If it gets to 4, you take the free kicks, do what you got to do, but we're going to give this duty to someone else until you get back into your state of form.
All right, let's wrap up this game. So we get 2 more goals in the second half. One of them was an own goal, and then Jimenez scores in the 90th minute, the 4th goal for Benfica. Benfica gets the 3 points, gets the revenge on Boavista from earlier in the season when we lost our only loss this season at Estádio do Bessa, and we're on to the next one. So next up, we will get Paços Ferreira. We'll travel up north to Mata Real, Capital do Móvel, to play Paços Ferreira in a pitch that's the smallest pitch in Portugal, a regulation size but smallest pitch. The game takes place Saturday, 8:30. Paços Ferreira is currently 13th with 21 points coming out of 5 wins, 6 ties, and 12 losses. They have the second worst defense in the league. They're tied for second worst defense. At home, 4 wins, 4 ties, 3 losses for Paços Ferreira. Last 10, 8 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Last 5 at the Mata Real, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. And Paços Ferreira have lost their last 3 games. It's not a trap game. Nonetheless, a very difficult game for Benfica.
It's 4-0 written all over it if it was at home. But since it's on the road, I'm always nervous. I'm always nervous with these games away. But I still think Benfica should come away with a 2-0 victory in this game. The way Benfica have been playing the last couple of weeks, the confidence is sky high. I know they struggled at Belenenses. Obviously, that's on the road. So that's why I'm a little bit easy here. I'm not sitting here predicting a 4-0 victory, but I still think it's a game that Benfica. And again, guys, I mean, what the hell am I going to say here? I shouldn't even comment on this every time you read about Benfica's next opponent, because with the exception of playing 3 teams in Portugal, I say the same crap over and over. Benfica has to win this game. They have the obligation to win this game. They're better than these guys, and I don't want no excuses. So, I mean, I just repeat what I said 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, trust me, you don't want to lose this game. Remember a couple seasons ago, Cristiano?
And I just, oh yeah, my God, don't even get me back with that. And don't forget, Porto Sporting play next week.
That's right.
So talking about a trap game.
And Porto got a difficult game at Portimonense also. And they got to play Estoril mid-season.
They have a half a game sometime this week.
They play Wednesday and then they go to Portimonense.
Yes. But I'm just saying, you talked about whether it being a trap game or not. I don't want this is the last game before they play each other, right? Well, Porto's got to play too, but you know what I mean. This weekend is the last week before Porto Sport to play each other. So Benfica has an opportunity to gain points on both of them. Hopefully, you get a draw out of that. So they absolutely have to win this game. They can't go into next. They can't think like it's all right because if we don't play our best game next week, one of these teams is going to lose points and we'll make no. That's where the trap comes in.
Yeah,
I don't want any of that. Come out, play the way you've been playing the last couple of weeks. End this game in the first half. Give Paços Ferreira no opportunity. You shouldn't have an opportunity in this game, and just keep it going.
How much time do we got left?
4 minutes, buddy.
Steve, what do you think about this game?
It's one of those games. If Benfica score in the first half, I think it'll end up being comfortable. If Benfica don't score in the first half, I think every minute that passes is going to get more and more anxious. Regardless of how well we play, I think that we're going to get a little bit worried about those typical results that we seem to have on the smaller pitches up north. But if we show some of the intensity levels that we've been showing, the chances will come. I think eventually they're going to come and we'll score in the first half. If our level drops even slightly, this will be a game that's going to make you bite your nails to the end, I bet.
Yeah. Dave, you wanna risk a prediction, Dave?
Let's go with 2-0.
He's like his cousin. See, 2-0. Good job, Dave.
How much time we got left?
Another 4 minutes. 4 more minutes.
All right. I think that's that's about all the time that we got.
We're gonna keep going until I decide to just like shut up. You know, it's my.
I had something that I wanted to bring up extra, but I forgot all about it.
Should I bring out the bow tie?
I should have.
So I mentioned
should have written it down.
We got time. We got 4 more minutes. We got time. Go ahead. Go through it.
It's not.
Go scramble your brain. We got 4 more minutes. We're good.
No, we could go on until I remember.
We can stop.
After I remember, we could shut it
off.
We
could actually stop it short and then come back, like 18 seconds short, and then come back for another like 8 minutes.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, we could do that. Why not?
It's not a problem.
Yeah, we could do whatever the hell we want. We're the Portuguese Liga.
Yeah. Anyway, wanted to. And that's it.
That was it.
That's all I got.
Let me guess. You wanted to give Serginho a shout out. Was that what it was?
Serginho. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See,
no, that was one of the things. If you
now gastei mais agora.
If you guys can't, if you guys haven't checked out the newest Conversas a Benfica with Ricardo Rocha, please, I highly recommend you go check that out. It's on YouTube on Conversas a Benfica channel. So that very entertaining. It's very Cristiano, one of the things that I enjoy about Sergio's show, and now that he's bringing these ex-players, which
we got to get them on the show. They all speak English. Let's go.
And the thing is that it's such a chill atmosphere that these guys are very open in the way they talk. Of course, they're not cursing up a storm. But they're very relaxed the way they talk. They're not worried about the way they look, about what words they say. They speak candidly.
Serginho esperto. E enxerta os gajos com uma garrafa de aguardente before the show. The guys come into they're relaxed. You know, they're over there eating sardinhas and chorizo asada.
No,
he does a great job. Look, it's a very chill. It's a very chill atmosphere. These guys feel comfortable. Serginho does a great job at asking these questions. He's not going after them. It's kind of more like, yo, you're a Benfiquista. Share your experiences with us, and I think anyone would be very comfortable. No, so he does a good job.
He's got very good questions for Ricardo Rocha, and one of them, and something that he kind of tiptoed around the Ferreira incident. He was very frontal with Ricardo Rocha, and Ricardo Rocha held nothing back. They spoke about the incident, and I know that he spoke about the incident with Nuno Gomes, but he didn't get too much in detail. But with Ricardo Rocha, he just went ahead and got his feelings. But there's a few other things, some experiences from Ricardo Rocha with his years at Benfica, some important goals that he scored, including one of the goals against Sporting. So there's a few things there, and definitely check that out if you haven't checked it out already. Activate the notifications, the campainha.
You know, Ricardo Rocha was in Newark Benfica not too long ago. So maybe if he comes over again, we'll bring him here into the studio. We'll sit him here in between us like we had Steve, the sandwich, and we'll ask him a couple of questions. I'll take it easy on you, Ricardo. I won't be a little too aggressive. I'll be easy. I mean, you're not a player. If you were a player right now, I'd be killing you, but you're good. I'll take it easy.
No, definitely check that out. That's all we got. Thanks.
What's the other thing?
I can't remember, dude. It was something. No, congratulations to the Benfica track and field team, indoor track and field team, for winning the national champions.
That's why
I love how Chris turns off when he talks modalidades. Like I turn off when he starts talking baseball before and after the podcast.
Baseball is a lot more exciting, but I mean, yo, you used up the 4 extra minutes on that.
How much more time we got?
4 minutes, bro. We're still gonna keep going. Were we gonna announce it now that we were gonna go to Portugal, or are we gonna wait on that? We'll wait on that, right? We'll just wait. We'll make that announcement.
We'll wait.
We can't confirm nor deny, but we'll make that announcement at a later date.
Anyway, thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to check us out on our usual platforms, iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You could also subscribe to our RSS feed and get it on your pod server
Yep.
application, whatever you call
To
it.
make it easy, don't listen to the radio, don't watch TV, don't buy no newspapers, just listen to the Benfica podcast. It works for others, right? Can't work for us. Boycott all that stuff. Even conversas, just listen to Benfica stuff. That's it.
No, not conversas. You
No,
need to get on there.
I meant to say listen to them too.
Oh,
Saying, listen to just Benfica
and
stuff.
Benfica FM, don't forget.
Just
and the
just-
Benfica Pod.
Just Benfica stuff. That's it. Everybody, don't even buy the papers. Don't do nothing.
Anyway.
Don't watch TV.
If you want to interact with Cristiano on Twitter, he's over at 10co10. Steve Santos likes a good tactical conversation every now and again at Steve Santos 6. Dave's got no Twitter. At Benfica Podcast is where you can find our Twitter. We're also on Facebook. We usually publish the episodes on Facebook, and you can download them there or listen to them through there. That's all we got. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Next week, we'll be back. We'll recap this Ferreira game, and we'll look ahead to Benfica's next game. I think that's all about the time we got.
I got 4 more minutes if you want to think up what you forgot. Don't tell me it was the modalidad stuff.
No, it was something else that ended up for. Here we go.
Thank goodness for the 4 minutes.
Here we
Thank
go.
goodness for the extra time.
Yeah, the extra time always gives you
It
an
always
extra
works.
chance,
Always works.
regardless of whether you fuck up somebody's leg or not.
Hey.
Sorry about that. We'll bleep that out at the
You're
end.
gonna need a producer to bleep stuff.
Ferro,
Now it's gonna have the E on iTunes. Way to go.
Yeah. Ferro, Jetson, and Heribert all extended their contracts until 2022, and one of them is 2021. 60 million buyout clause. That's what Benfica put on them, and that's all I got. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your summer signings.
Yeah, too, man. Por que es mal, ba?
No há dinheiro, pá.
Thanks everybody for checking us out. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and rate us. It helps. Later. Peace.